Breaking news late yesterday afternoon, the Colorado Supreme Court has disqualified former President Donald Trump from appearing on the state's ballot in 2024. The disqualification, which was made under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, is related to the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. Of course, we have all the details for you here on Just the Truth. House Republicans are taking aim at the White House after Hunter Biden was left off of Marine One passenger list following a longstanding tradition of omitting him from other records, such as White House visitor logs. They don't want us to know when Hunter is around the president, obviously. And America's border crisis is worsening with a record 12,600 illegals that were encountered by Customs and Border Protection officers in 24 hours on Monday with no relief in sight. Are you planning an international traveling, maybe a trip in 2024, and you need a passport? Processing times for U.S. passports have returned to pre-pandemic norms, according to the State Department. Applications will once again be processed within 6 to 8 weeks for routine service. You can pay an extra $60 for expedited, which can take 2 to 3 weeks. And speaking of travel, let's just say plus-sized woman was slammed on social media for posting very specific travel tips on how overweight people should be given extra seats by the airlines. I'm going to get your take on that as well. Welcome into today's edition of Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
Your story was powerful when you delivered it up at the General Assembly. People are still talking about your story.
The CON has gone away in the state of South Carolina, and I want to personally thank you.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills, but I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
We've got some breaking news right now. The Colorado Supreme Court, get this, has just ruled on a challenge to Donald Trump's appearance on the state's 2024 ballot. I want to go straight to CNN's Paula Reed. Paula, what does this ruling say?
Well, this is a stunning ruling from the Colorado Supreme Court saying that Trump should not appear on the ballot in 2024. Now, this is surprising in part because they are reversing a lower court that found while Trump did engage in an insurrection on January 6th, that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment did not apply to presidents, and therefore he should not be kept off the ballot. Now, when we're talking about this particular section, this is a Civil War era clause of the Constitution, and in here the courts are trying to assess exactly what that means. Well, it does specifically mention House representatives, the Senate, even electors. It doesn't say anything about presidents. So here the court was weighing whether they could keep former President Trump off the ballot because of what happened on January 6th. And here the Supreme Court, the highest court in the state of Colorado, ruling that he should be disqualified, he should be kept off the ballot. But, Wolf, they're going to stay or pause this decision until January 4th to allow the former president or anyone else to appeal to the Supreme Court on this question.
So as you heard CNN gleefully making the announcement yesterday, as this news broke, the Colorado Supreme Court has disqualified former President Trump from appearing on the state's ballots in 2024. The disqualification, which was made under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, is related, of course, to the January 6th riot. Tuesday's ruling was 4-3, and as you heard a CNN report, it has stayed until January the 4th because there will actually be some appeals. You can count on that. The court's majority wrote, "We do not reach these conclusions lightly. We are mindful of the magnitude and weight of the question now before us. We are likewise mindful of our solemn duty to apply the law without fear or favor and without being swayed by public reaction to the decisions that the law mandates we reach." During a speech in Waterloo, Iowa yesterday, President Trump did not address the Colorado ruling directly, but said crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. Trump went on to say they're willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy, he declared. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls. Trump campaign spokesperson Stephen Chung wrote in a statement that an appeal would be filed later last night. I can't confirm whether or not that was done, but I can bet you that an appeal will be filed. Chung's statement said, unsurprisingly, the all-Democrat appointed Colorado Supreme Court has ruled against President Trump supporting a Soros-funded left-wing group scheme to interfere in an election on behalf of crooked Joe Biden by removing President Trump's name from the ballot and eliminating the rights of Colorado voters to vote for the candidate of their choice. Democrat Party leaders are in a state of paranoia over the growing dominant lead President Trump has amassed in the polls. They have lost faith in the failed Biden presidency and are now doing everything they can to stop American voters from throwing him out of office next November, Chung wrote. The Colorado Supreme Court issued a completely flawed decision tonight, he said, and we will swiftly file an appeal to the United States Supreme Court and a concurrent request for a stay of this deeply undemocratic decision. In a previous ruling, Colorado District Judge Sarah Wallace had allowed President Trump to stay on the ballot, but found that Trump engaged in insurrection, she said, for his role in the January 6th protest. Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold said in a statement that she would continue to follow court guidance on this important issue. The 14th Amendment states this: no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who have previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. Disqualification lawsuits relating to President Trump's appearance on the ballot are pending in 13 other states. That's why this ruling by Colorado yesterday could prove to be very important and troublesome for President Trump. Some of the other states, Texas, Nevada, and Wisconsin, are pending. An interesting response from one of Trump's primary competitors. Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy is vowing that he will withdraw his name from the Colorado primary ballot unless former President Trump is reinstated following the state's historic Supreme Court ruling yesterday. Ramaswamy reacted on X, saying, "This is what an actual attack on democracy looks like. In an un-American, unconstitutional, and unprecedented decision, a cabal of Democrat judges are barring Trump from the ballot in Colorado. Having tried every trick in the book to eliminate President Trump from running in this election, the bipartisan establishment is now deploying a new tactic to bar him from ever holding office again, the 14th Amendment." He went on to write, "I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary unless Trump is also allowed to be on the state's ballot, and I demand that Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Nikki Haley do the same immediately, or else they are tacitly endorsing this illegal maneuver which will have disastrous consequences for our country," he wrote. What do you think? You think Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Nikki Haley will do likewise? Love to get your thoughts. 864-477-JOEY. 864-477-5639 is the through text line. Love to hear from you on that. Should the other candidates boycott Colorado as well? You can leave a quick message, and your emails are welcome too. Joey@joeyhudson.com. House Republicans are taking aim at the White House after Hunter Biden was left off of the Marine One passenger list following a longstanding tradition of omitting him from other records such as its visitor logs. Now, it's very common for the White House, and previous presidents have had logs not only of who's coming and going to visit the president at the White House, but at their private residences too. You know that Joe Biden has refused to do so at his beach home in Delaware. It's also common to know who travels with the president. Joe Biden has ignored this as well. And it's even more interesting because, previous presidents haven't had children who have been charged with selling access to their dad. In this case, Hunter Biden, as you know, is facing indictments because of failing to pay taxes and all based on income that he received from foreign entities because he sold access to his father. That's why it's even more important that we know when Hunter Biden is visiting the White House, is traveling with his father. He defied a subpoena to Congress last week, and then we saw him shopping with his dad over the weekend. The Jackie Henrich with Fox News reported the White House may not have helped that the president is keeping far away from Hunter's local woes. We are all just watching the first family return from Delaware on Marine One, and my colleague Peter Ducey noticed someone hop off of the chopper who was not on the passenger list the White House had given us, Hunter Biden, she said. The Hunter Biden omission prompted House Republican Conference's social media account to question what else the White House is leaving out of its records regarding the president's son. The House GOP account wrote on X, Fox News reports that Hunter Biden is currently at the White House after being spotted exiting Marine One. He was not on the White House's passenger manifest. What other manifest and visitor logs has Hunter Biden been left off of? And that is a valid question, an important question. During a Thursday press briefing last week, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre faced a question about whether the White House will announce Hunter Biden's presence on Marine One moving forward. She responded, "That's something that we have never done. This is the family. The family gets to travel with the president, and that's been the case with every other president. So it's not something that we have done or would be doing moving forward." The problem with that, though, Jean-Pierre, is other presidents' children, again, have not sold access to their father. They have not been indicted for not paying their taxes on income earned because of their father. The Biden White House has repeatedly claimed that they are most transparent or the most transparent administration in American history. It's not very transparent, though, if you don't want your visitor logs to be known and if you leave your very troubled son off of the visitor log because you simply don't want Americans to know that he's around Joe Biden. The review includes several articles to piece together Hunter Biden's whereabouts during his dad's administration. This is a review that several media companies have done. And it appears that the White House is still omitting Hunter's name from a lot of visitor logs and have been doing so particularly over the past year since his legal woes have mounted. A majority of White House visits that Fox News found were from 2022, which includes the annual Egg Roll Medal of Freedom ceremony, a France state dinner on the South Lawn, Christmas tree lighting, and his daughter's wedding, of course, that was held there at the White House. However, Hunter's presence at the White House was absent from visitor logs, including what appears to be some extended stays at the White House. A White House spokesperson previously pointed Fox News and other media to a policy released at the start of the administration, which read, "The White House will not release access records related to purely personal guests of the first and second families, i.e. visits that do not involve any official or political business." The policy states, which appears to be less transparent than the Obama administration and other administrations prior to. Many of the events are ceremonial. I admit that. They're a tradition at the White House. Again, why is this important to us, though? Because of Hunter Biden's current legal situation. Hunter, of course, defied the congressional subpoena last week and is back at the White House, evidently hanging out with his dad and with his family. Changing topics here to the border, quick update. Our border is worsening. I talked with you a couple of days ago about some of the daily records that were set last week Well, we had 12,600 illegal encounters by Customs and Border Protection officers in 24 hours this past Monday of this week. Pictures show a sea of thousands of newly arrived illegals huddled in neat lines as they await processing after illegally crossing into Eagle Pass, Texas. Many have walked across the Rio Grande River, which serves as the border between the U.S. and Mexico in that area, and in the area where the federal government has prevented Texas Governor Greg Abbott from putting up any type of fence or water. He tried the dam in the middle of the river. The feds made him remove it. They just will not allow that hole in our border to be plugged. Numbers have reached the highest ever recorded since the end of Title 42 back in May. August saw more than 304,000 illegals. September increased to 341,000. October, 310,000. As we all know, border resources are stretched thin. Road and rail crossings, I told you yesterday that the rail crossings have been closed so that all available officers can be diverted to processing the arriving migrants. And that's the problem. Joe Biden talks about needing more resources and that the GOP-controlled House will not approve more funding. He wants funding for more officers, not to protect our borders, not to keep illegals from coming into our country, but to process them, to get them through quickly and into the states. The Biden's administration plan to control the flow was for illegals to wait in another country until they could get an appointment via the CBP One app, with up to 30,000 people per month allowed into the U.S. to pursue asylum applications. Border encounters surpassed 300,000 between August and October. November and December are trending high, too, according to the New York Post. President Biden said in January, do not show up at the border. Stay where you are and apply legally from there. But that's what he said, but that's not the practice. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas also claimed a month later. He was quoted as saying, people who arrive at the border without using a lawful pathway will be presumed ineligible for asylum. In practice, though, that's not happening. That's not the case. Reports are that 78% of all those encountered at the border in October, that's just over 188,000 people, crossed into the country illegally between points of entry. Most are not being ejected as they said they would. The Department of Homeland Security revealed between May and September, they have removed or returned over 300,000 individuals, which equals around 60,000 people per month. That's less than 30% if you do the math, less than 30% of those who arrived on U.S. soil during that time. And you cannot convince me that those people were all here seeking asylum. Those now arriving at the border are not just people that are fleeing persecution in their home country. For example, CBP figures show an increase in those arriving from China, from India, from Russia, and from Africa. Now, you tell me how people from those continents are fleeing persecution from their countries. They're traveling to Mexico or some other location in South America with the sole purpose of crossing our southern border because they know they can. You may remember one illegal from Morocco. He was identified as Usama, 20 years old, recently told various media outlets how he had given up as an online gamer in his home country and tried his luck at the southern border in search of work and a better paying job. He told reporters as he was passing by just how much he loves Joe Biden.
I love you, Joe Biden. Thank you for everything, Joe Biden. I'm a good person. I want to be a good person here in the United States.
I'm sure he is a good person, but Usama, you need to go back home and do this right. But he's a prime example. He's a prime example of someone who crossed into our border. He was processed and allowed into our country. A few days later, he was photographed in New York City where he said he was looking for work. While authorities can't stem the flow of people arriving, increasing every year of the Biden presidency. By the way, the numbers have grown and grown and grown. The immigration court system isn't in a position to effectively handle them. So for more people to come in seeking asylum, they're smart enough to know that those hearings will not happen anytime soon and that they're being allowed to stay here. Their communication network is wonderful. They are able to let their friends and family back home know, hey, come on over. It's okay. It's safe. They'll let you in. They'll let you in. You'll be free to roam the country as you please. As of November, the U.S. Immigration Court reached a historic backlog of over 3 million pending cases. This is according to Transactional Records Access Hearing House. It's called the TRAC system. The number has grown by over 1 million cases in a single year after reaching the milestone of 2 million cases for the first time in 2022. The current backlog equates to about 4,500 cases for every immigration judge in the court system right now, according to TRAC. That volume of cases is pushing hearings back by months and months and months, meaning that when migrants first enter the country, they're given initial court dates years in advance. In the meantime, the 3 million people awaiting their hearings are free to stay, and after 6 months, they can legally work until they appear before a judge. And this is precisely what is drawing all these people to our country. Muzaffar Shishtai told the New York Post, he's a senior fellow at the Migration Policy Institute. He told the New York Post the backlog has become the pull factor. Pull factors are always more important than push factors. Migrants are smart. They know that what kind of reception they're going to receive in the U.S., and social media has made it much more potent. Until the asylum system is overhauled and the backlog is reduced, the border problem will not be resolved, Christie said. He said if they see that not everyone who is applying for asylum is getting asylum, and then people are not staying for 7 years, there's a possibility removal at the end. I think the pattern would change. That message has not been sent. No, it hasn't been sent. And he's right. If these people thought that they're going to be turned away, they would not make the trek from China and Russia and the other countries to get into our country. Politicians from both the left and the right have repeatedly expressed outrage to Joe Biden that he hasn't taken more aggressive action to address the crisis. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs, who is a Democrat, as you well know, said the crisis at the border is unacceptable. We need the federal government to step up, do its job, and bring security and stability to the border, she said. Earlier this month, Governor Hobbs wrote a letter to Joe Biden requesting support from the National Guard to reopen the Lukeville border, which had been closed since December the 4th to deal with the illegal surge. That support was not given, so Hobbs issued orders herself deploying Arizona National Guard troops to support CBP agents along the Arizona border. The border crossing at Lukeville, Arizona remains closed, however, as Hobbs does not have the authority to order it to be open. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill into effect Monday, giving police officers in the state of Texas power to arrest anybody caught entering the country illegally. Governor Abbott said President Biden's deliberate inaction at the border left Texas to fend for itself. People arrested under the law will be allowed to choose whether to leave the country under a judge's order or face prosecution, jail time, and fines up to $2,000. Repeat offenders will face felony charges. And that's what we have to do. These states have to do this. The states have to defy the federal government. And I hope that Governor Greg Abbott will do so. I hope that, because you can bet this is going to be challenged by the Biden administration. But what are they going to do to Governor Abbott? He and other governors, Katie Hobbs in Arizona, they have to close their borders and make a statement to Joe Biden. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who's been trying for months to get federal aid for the tens of thousands of migrants who have, what he says, overwhelmed the Big Apple's shelter system, yesterday called on New Yorkers to head to Washington en masse to demand funding, he said. Adams told reporters the source of our discontent lies in Washington, D.C. We need to mobilize and rally to go to D.C. and say to the national government, this is not fair what is happening to New York City. Adams has gone to Washington himself 10 times, according to his office, to ask Joe Biden for aid in the migrant crisis, which has seen over 150,000 people pass through New York City since the start of the crisis, with a price tag expecting to reach $12 billion. The federal government has allocated about $150 million to the city. And you have to admit, it's not fair to cities to have to bear this. Now, you can argue, hey, New York City, you're the one who declared yourself a sanctuary city. Maybe you need to rethink that idea. After his most recent trip to the Capitol, which was early in December, Adams said, I did not leave with optimism. I left with the cold reality that help is not on the way in the immediate future. Again, Mr. Mayor, you're the one who decided you wanted to be a sanctuary city. You're a sanctuary city now. Are you planning to do some international traveling in 2024? Is that part of your plans? Processing times, we're told, for U.S. passports have returned to pre-pandemic norms, according to the State Department. Applications will once again be processed within 6 to 8 weeks for routine service. You can pay $60 for expedited service and get them in 2 to 3 weeks. The State Department said in a statement yesterday, we have fulfilled our commitment to return to benchmarks from March of 2020. In October, processing times fell slightly to 8 to 11 weeks for routine service and 5 to 7 weeks for expedited service, after climbing as high as 10 to 13 weeks or more over the last 7 to 9 months. The department started facing issues 2 years ago when travel surged as the world reopened its borders and eased up on the COVID-19 measures. In 2021, the department was so inundated when processing times reached 18 weeks or longer at times. When Secretary of State Antony Blinken was asked about the delays in testimony before the House Appropriations Committee in March of this year, he explained that there was still an unprecedented demand for renewed travel. Blinken said that that during the pandemic, the bottom basically dropped out of the system. To put it in perspective, he noted that the agency had received roughly 500,000 passport applications a week, which was a 30 to 40% increase from last year. Between October of 2022 and September of this year, the federal fiscal year, the department issued more than 24 million passport books and cards, the highest figure in our country's history. Today, we're told over 160 million valid U.S. passports are in circulation, which is nearly double the amount from 2007. A plus-size woman, speaking of travel, a plus-size woman, and that's a nice way of saying an obese woman, was slammed on social media for posting some very specific travel tips on how you can get around the crowded space on an airplane. Before I give you those details, let me talk just a minute, and this is very timely, talking about obesity. Let me talk with you about PhD weight loss and nutrition. If you are finding yourself with those few extra pounds around your waist and you're ready to do something about it, if you're already thinking about New Year's resolutions, let's get you off to a good start. Let me encourage you to call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition right now and go ahead and set up your appointment, 864-252-4925. Over 3 years ago now, I was introduced to Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. I lost 30 pounds within just a few months, and I'm very proud of the fact that over 3 years later, I've been able to maintain that weight loss. And the reason is PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition is not a fad diet. It's not even a diet. It's a lifestyle change. They teach you, Dr. Lucas and her team teaches you about the science of nutrition, about food and your relationship with food, what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. You're going to find yourself losing weight, feeling better about yourself because you can wear some of those clothes that you haven't been able to wear in a long, long time, but you'll also be able to do things that maybe you haven't been able to do. Your memory will be better. You'll be able to focus on things better. You'll be able to sleep better. You'll have the energy to do things that maybe you haven't been able to do in a long, long time. Let's start 2024 off in the right way. Call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition and set up your initial consultation. 864-252-4925, online at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So, Kirstie Leanne is a 30-year-old woman who regularly shares videos about her travel experiences as a, quote, plus-sized person, as she refers to herself. She has over 4.6 million likes on some of her social media accounts. She recently shared tips on getting a second plane seat for free with her nearly 130,000 TikTok followers. In one of her most popular videos, she discussed one of the most daunting things about flying as a plus-size person, which she said is not knowing how much room she'll have in her economy seat. She said that she advised others to ask a flight attendant at the gate if there were any seats where there's two seats next to each other for free. She noted that it doesn't work on every flight, especially fully booked flights, but said that it's worth the ask. In another video, Leanne shared a video of herself spread across 3 airplane seats. And I saw this. There was no room to spare, even across 3 seats. She included additional tips in the caption, such as looking for a neighbor-free or customer of size airline policy, checking in late to see what additional seats are free, and choosing seats in less desirable spots on the plane for a better chance at finding an empty seat in the row. She also noted that airlines make it so hard to book a second seat, and so over the years that she's had to find ways to increase her chances of getting an empty seat next to her. She's a content creator, a blogger, well known on TikTok. Said that it's not always possible for some of her little tricks of the trade to work because sometimes, and most times these days, the airplanes are booked. She said that airlines tend to overbook flights too. So in those cases, a second seat would most likely not be available. Now, TikTok users took to the comments section, which has over 6.6 million views on one particular travel video. One user said, someone said, eat double, pay double. Another said, how is that not a wake-up call? Other users said that Leanne should be charged extra since the bags must be overweight. Other customers deserve to be comfortable too, another wrote. One TikTok user slammed the poster directly saying, top tip, put the fork down occasionally. And she is a big woman. Leanne's online blog is called Plus Size Travel 2, which shares her experiences of traveling across the world as a larger-sized woman. Examples include how to do a plus-size friendly trip to Bali and a cruise ship plus-size friendly review as well. So what do you think? Should airlines give obese people free seats, extra seats, so that they're comfortable? 864-477-5639 is how you can send me a quick text on the Truth text line. 864-477-JOEY. You can also leave a voice message. This is always a pet peeve of mine, is when I'm flying, and I don't want to be mean or disrespectful for someone, but it makes me uncomfortable if I have someone who is much larger and spills over into my space. It's not comfortable for either one of us. I get that. But rather than trying to figure out a way to get the airline to give her a free seat, I do think that airlines should sell her an extra seat. That's not uncommon either. Just buy the extra seat. 864-477-JOEY. On the Truth text line, texter says, Joey, our civilization is about loss. Decency, morals, common sense are words that apparently no longer exist, and we don't even have to travel to D.C. to prove this. Just look around your neighborhoods. Believe the Bible says weaker and wiser before the end of time. I am, however, very thankful you're able to reach us with words of truth. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you. I appreciate that note. Another texter, Joey, Elon Musk said it best. AI will destroy the workforce and humanity as we know it. This is in response to a story I talked about yesterday. If you didn't hear Just the Truth yesterday's episode, go back and listen. I talked about how artificial intelligence is changing a lot of things and is about to change how you grocery shop in a big way. Pete texted me a link to a story from Reuters. A federal judge on Monday ordered a halt to the removal of a Confederate monument at Arlington National Cemetery shortly after U.S. Army crews began work to dismantle the tall bronze statue as required by Congress under a January 1 deadline. Pete, thank you for sending me that link. I haven't had time to read the story, but I'll update you in tomorrow's edition of Just the Truth. Ace writes, Joey, the Dems are getting away with too much. Colorado Dems have crossed the line big time. He's talking about the Colorado Supreme Court decision, of course, removing President Trump. If the Republicans don't start standing up for President Trump, then I believe the Republican Party is going to crash and burn, he writes. The left is trying to kill the man. They're terrified of him, and they're going to do anything to keep him out. That ought to tell all Republicans that Trump is a force to be reckoned with. It also tells me that the other Republican candidates are weak. They aren't a threat to the left's agenda at all. The Democrat leaders have a plan to conquer America in the worst way. People better start washing their eyes with the blood of Christ so that they can start to see the truth. Thank you for that, Ace. Appreciate your comments. Your comments are welcome as well on the Truth text line, 864-477-JOEY. Our text of encouragement today, be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong. 1 Corinthians 16:13. A city in Michigan has banned gasoline-powered leaf blowers due to noise and health issues. This is what the Biden administration wants. I'm going to tell you all about that. First, let me tell you about Discounted Appliance Warehouse, as portions of today's show is made possible by our friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff who have no appliance knowledge? Are you tired of walking in and asking a question about a particular brand, if it's right for you, and you just get that deer in the headlight look from the the person in the big box store? You're not going to get that when you travel over to Pickens and visit with my friends Jeff and Johnny and the team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They have over 11,000 square feet, slam full of appliances, waiting for you to pick out yours. They'll help you. They have the knowledge and that will give you the confidence that you're making the right purchase. They have nearly perfect reviews on Google. They have an award-winning service department. They take very good care of you after the sale. That's why I've been buying all of my appliances at Discounted Appliance Warehouse for years now. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're in Pickens and online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So the decision was made unanimously by Ann Arbor's City Council on Monday. This according to mlive.com. This new law that has banned gasoline-powered leaf blowers because of the noise and the health issues is sponsored by council members Cornell, Ackman, Ayer. It was up for debate for a number of weeks. The 10 council members heard mixed feedback during a public hearing before they actually took the vote, including from a lawn care contractor who said transitioning to electric leaf blowers by 2028 would cost his business thousands of dollars. The 4-year gradual phase-out is meant to not cause economic hardships for small businesses, Democrat council member Cornell said. The new law will fully ban gas blowers starting January the 1st of 2028, but until then, they'll be allowed from October through May only. So there'll be a complete ban starting in 2028, but before then, you can't use them, or you can use them only between October and May. Why those dates? Why wouldn't you be able to just use them year round? Even when 2028 comes around, There are some exceptions to the ordinance. According to local reports, gas leaf blowers will be able to be used by contractors who are doing street, sidewalk, or paving construction work. They also reportedly may be used in emergency situations for health, safety, and property protection purposes, they said. A member of the city's environmental commission said the ban will benefit workers, neighbors, wildlife, and the community overall, as Ann Arbor, home to the University of Michigan, joins other communities with similar ordinances. The penalty for first offenses is $100 and $250 for any additional offenses. That's where our world is today, folks. They're banning gas-powered lawn blowers. Your weed eaters, your chainsaws, your hedge trimmers, everything else, they'll be next. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Appreciate you spending a few minutes with me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails with the most up-to-date news. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Have a wonderful day as we head into the Christmas season. Your comments on the Truth text line are welcome. 864-477-JOEY. Keep your emails coming to joey@joeyhudson.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Until tomorrow, remember, folks, God's still in control.